In 480 BCE, a small band of warriors made their stand against one of the largest and most powerful empires the world had ever seen. It was a battle that would become legendary, not because of its outcome, but because of the courage and sacrifice displayed by a few against an overwhelming force. This is the story of the Battle of Thermopylae. To understand the Battle of Thermopylae, we must first understand the power of the Persian Empire. Under the rule of King Xerxes I, Persia had grown to be the largest empire the world had ever seen, stretching from Egypt in the west to India in the east. Xerxes had inherited the throne from his father, Darius I, who had begun the Persian conquest of Greece with the Battle of Marathon in 490 BCE. The Greeks, led by the Athenians, had dealt Persia a devastating defeat at Marathon. But the Persians were not ready to give up. Xerxes, eager for revenge and expansion, gathered an even larger army, said to be numbering in the hundreds of thousands, and set his sights on conquering Greece once and for all. Xerxes' invasion was not just an army on the move, it was a colossal military campaign. To cross the Hellespont, he ordered the construction of 2 massive pontoon bridges, linking Asia to Europe. The Persian fleet, along with a land force of perhaps 200,000 men, was ready to march into Greece. In the face of this Persian juggernaut, the Greek city-states knew they had to unite. Despite their history of rivalries and infighting, they set aside their differences and formed an alliance to defend their homeland. But while Athens and other states contributed soldiers, it was the Spartans who took the lead in preparing for the inevitable confrontation. The Spartans were a people forged for war. Known for their rigorous training and discipline, they were among the most feared soldiers in the ancient world. King Leonidas, a warrior king, knew that the fate of Greece rested on their shoulders. He selected 300 of the finest Spartan warriors to stand with him at the narrow pass of Thermopylae, a place where the overwhelming numbers of the Persian army could be neutralized. The choice of Thermopylae, a narrow coastal pass, was strategic. With limited space for the Persian army to maneuver, Leonidas and his warriors hoped to hold the line and delay Xerxes long enough to buy time for the other Greek forces to prepare. But the odds were staggering. Xerxes' army vastly outnumbered the Greek defenders. On the morning of August 18, 480 BCE, the two sides clashed at Thermopylae. The Persians, with their towering numbers, began their assault, sending waves of infantry and archers to break the Greek defenses. But the Spartans were prepared. They fought with precision, using their famous phalanx formation, a wall of shields and spears, making it nearly impossible for the Persians to break through. For days, the Spartans held their ground, killing thousands of Persian soldiers. The narrow pass of Thermopylae worked to the Greeks' advantage, as the Persians were unable to fully deploy their vast army. Despite being vastly outnumbered, the Greek warriors, led by Leonidas, inflicted devastating casualties on the enemy. Xerxes, stunned by the fierce resistance, reportedly watched the battle from a raised throne. He was enraged by the unexpected tenacity of the Greeks. The battle was supposed to be a swift victory for Persia, but Leonidas and his warriors were turning the tide. However, the tide would soon turn. A traitor named Ephialtes, a Greek from the region of Malice, revealed a secret mountain path that led behind the Spartan lines. This path would allow the Persians to flank the Greeks and surround them. When Leonidas realized that the Persians were about to encircle his army, he knew the battle was lost. He sent the majority of his troops to retreat, leaving only his 300 Spartans and a small force of Thespians and Thebans to hold the line. On the final day of battle, the Spartans made their heroic last stand. Surrounded on all sides, they fought with unmatched bravery, refusing to surrender. Leonidas and his warriors died in the heat of battle, but they would not be forgotten. The Greeks were defeated at Thermopylae, but the legacy of their sacrifice lived on. The bravery of Leonidas and his men inspired the rest of Greece to rise up against the Persians. Just a few months later, the Greek navy would defeat the Persians at the Battle of Salamis, and eventually the Persian invasion would collapse. The heroism displayed at Thermopylae became a rallying cry for the Greek city-states, uniting them in the fight for their freedom. The Persian Empire would be driven back, and Greece would survive, thanks to the sacrifice of a few brave men. Though the battle was lost, the memory of Thermopylae became a symbol of resistance against overwhelming odds. Leonidas and his warriors are remembered not just for their defeat, but for their courage, their resolve, and their unyielding commitment to their cause. They showed the world that even in the face of certain death, bravery can inspire nations. The Battle of Thermopylae was more than just a military engagement. It was a testament to the power of sacrifice, leadership, and unity. Today, Leonidas and his 300 Spartans remain an enduring symbol of courage in the face of adversity. Like, subscribe and share for more historical explorations.